Okay, we are live. It is August 22nd, 2025. We're again a few minutes late, but that's okay. We're trying to get better. It's been a very busy week, but a very successful and it's going crazy all over the place. But it started off, I guess, Monday. We had the Sherry Biggs thing, the Greenville County Republican Party. We had 3 tables there, so we had a good crew that came out and enjoyed that. Tuesday, we had David Pasco here in town. He announced he was running for Attorney General of the state of South Carolina on Monday, and came up and gave his presentation, and maybe we'll take some excerpts out of that. But I will tell you the most exciting piece of that for me is what he is now talking about is a public corruption unit, PCU, which literally all they will do is go look for public corruption out of our legislators and local and state house and all of those good things. And I love one of his slides. He talked about, if you don't understand what the swamp is, he literally changes the slide to the next piece of the PowerPoint, and it's the South Carolina State House. So that is what the swamp is. we have our own bumper stickers talking about drain the swamp with mySCGOP.com. That is exactly what we intended the swamp to be. So I actually, and in full disclosure, David Pasco is a classmate of mine from the Citadel. He's also a 93 grad from the USC Law School, which I'm a 93 grad. I was class of 94, but I graduated early. Imagine that. So I wanted to get out and get a paycheck. So I graduated in December of 93, but he graduated in May, so he's a little bit ahead of me. So, but I also got a law degree and an MBA. So I tried both. But David brought that stuff out. I think it's been very successful. And I will tell you the most interesting news that has come out, because I think it's really put a scare into the establishment, especially this public corruption unit thing. And what he wants to do is go after legislators that are abusing their finances. I mean, he's, their campaign accounts and all those types of things. So what the establishment is trying to do is find somebody that can counter or run against him, because I think he's going to have massive amount of support. Obviously, there's been no polling or anything like that out yet, but I think he will have so much support that it's almost a done. In my case, I think it's a done deal. His 2 other competitors that are out there, Stephen Goldfinch, he was one of the 2 state senators, another Citadel grad, one of the 2 state senators. He's out of Horry County, Georgetown, but he's one of the 2 that he and Larry Grooms that were trying to, put Curtis Loftus under the bus. Curtis Loftus is truly the most popular elected official in this state. And he fortunately, because of what they were trying to do to him and take over the treasurer's office, he's elected to run for re-election. He's been there, I think, either 12 or 16 years already. And most of the time, nobody runs against him because he is that popular. And he works with everybody, and he works with us. And hopefully, we'll have him up on in January for our Greenville GOP meeting that next quarter. So it's Goldfinch. And then you got a solicitor by the name of David Stumbo, who was at the Sherry Biggs thing. But David Stumbo is out of Greenwood. He is actually the solicitor that cut the deal with Craig Caldwell, who is the former chair of Lexington County, who was unelected in 23 by our friend Pamela Godwin when America first took over that county. And then Pamela found the malfeasance in their old bank accounts before she got involved, and they ended up prosecuting Craig Caldwell for embezzling over $100 and some odd thousand from the Lexington GOP, and he was the treasurer of the local Rotary Club there. I think it was about half and half. I don't know the exact numbers, but what did Craig Caldwell get at the end of the day? The local solicitor couldn't prosecute him because they, conflict of interest, they all knew each other and all that type of stuff. So he got transferred up to David Stumbo as a different solicitor to prosecute the case. And they cut a deal to get him 8 years probation and time served. The only time he served was the 4 hours that he was in jail when they arrested him initially and indicted him. So my question to everybody is, if Jeff Davis, this is the establishment and what they do in the good old boy system and the problem that's out there. But what do you think they would have done to Jeff Davis or any of our other friends if I had embezzled $100,000 from the Greenville GOP.
Life in prison.
Life in prison. Life in prison would probably be easy. I think they would probably I will be probably the first person to get the firing squad for not actually murdering somebody. But that's the corruption that's going on in the state. And it's like, I don't see how David Stumbo is going to be elected as our chief prosecutor when he let off a good old boy, with 4 hours in a jail cell or wherever they had him, in probably a conference room.
That's a good bullet point during the campaign.
Right. And we will pound it, and we will pound it, and we will pound it, because we're not here, and some people have the impression that the party is here to treat all Republican candidates the same. There are some things in the rules that we have to do and comply, and if we offer one candidate, sometimes we have to. Sometimes, and maybe that's just in our local Greenville rules, but we can endorse candidates. We can certainly educate people on what these candidates do. Because a lot of folks, even us that are very involved, there's a lot of things y'all may not know. There's things I don't know. I learned that, people will turn me on to things that I wasn't aware of, certainly from a historical standpoint. And, I think it's our job to let as many people know. And part of letting people know is actually standing up and perhaps even endorsing candidates and saying, well, we've got these people running for whatever, Pickett, South Carolina Attorney General, we want to support this person. But what has developed this week, which is super exciting or super interesting, if you want to know how scared I think they truly are about David Pascoe and what he may do or will do, what he really wants to do, and what he has done in the past. That he's prosecuted the Speaker of the House and gotten indicted and all this kind of stuff. And one of them actually ended up going spending a little jail time. But William Timmons, our congressman here in the 4th Congressional District, is now being touted as a potential contender to run for Attorney General. Now, to me, I've never heard anything of his interest in becoming the attorney. He's a lawyer. He was a prosecutor in the solicitor's office here in Greenville years and years, long time ago. That's kind of the check the box type thing, and he runs for office later, does whatever. But I think they are so scared they are trying to find somebody who may have the possibility of beating Pascoe. Because obviously I don't think Stumbo can do it. I don't think Goldfish can do it. The other person that they talked about is Governor McMaster's son, Henry McMaster Jr. He's like a hospitality lawyer or something. He's not even a prosecutor. So I'm kind of like, maybe you spend some time in the prosecutor's office to check the box, but I don't think that's going to work. So what they're doing is, Timmons has the family name. He is a congressman. They've probably got a ton of money. He's probably going to get a ton of money from people to run to try to stop David Pascoe. And, we obviously were supportive of him in running against Adam Morgan because of the issues with Adam Morgan, and, our friends may want to hear about some of that type of stuff. But I don't think our folks or the people we know across the state are going to fall for this. Everybody that I know I don't know anybody that's excited about Stumbo and or Stephen Goldfinch, but all of our friends across the state seem very excited about Pascoe. The one concern people have raised with me is that David Pascoe was a Democrat. He did change to the Republican Party in this year, back in March. He has always been pro-life, pushed the death penalty. And, we can all kind of talk about that type of stuff. I think he gave you a good answer about your abortion pill the other day, and I don't think there was any hesitation in his mind about it. So, but, this is not a policy position, the Attorney General. It's an enforcement position. So even if he was a Democrat, he
was a Dino.
He's a Dino, Democrat in there, which is actually kind of true.
Yes, that's what
That is what he is, or what he was, what he certainly was. And Greg's got a good point. You tell him what you said when you first
He
there.
came and spoke to us back in 2022.
January 6th of 2022.
I listened to him. I was smiling the whole time. I walked up to him afterwards, and And I said, you know you're not a Democrat. He smiled. He wasn't going to answer because he didn't know who I was, but he smiled.
But he was a solicitor in the first, judicial district or whatnot.
First solicitor.
I mean, but it's Orangeburg, it's
You
Dorchester,
have to
and
be Democrat.
it's Calhoun. It is a Democrat stronghold. If you want to get elected, or you have to run as. I don't necessarily like that, but I don't think he's ever hidden the fact that he was pro-life or all these types of things. So, but what I'm seeing, and I actually had one of our good friends in a really far away county was having concerns about that, and she asked me, like, well, can you have him call me? And so I texted her his contact and him her contact. He's like, oh, I'll call her this afternoon. He called her that afternoon. She calls me back and she goes, he's the real deal. I said, yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I think he honestly wants to go after these people. He is literally, as we have been, declaring war against the establishment. Yep. And it's not new. He declared it, obviously, as in Greenville in January 6, 22, on the 1-year anniversary of the January 6th stuff in D.C. He came and spoke to us. We were the first GOP organization that had allowed him to come speak. And I'm telling you, I caught so much grief you would not believe it. Why is Jeff Davis letting a Democrat come speak? And the thing to me was he was an elected official, and I'm like, he is a prosecutor. He is the one person talking our talk and willing to go after these people. He had actually prosecuted a lot of them and taken them out of office and all that type of stuff. So the fact that he was a classmate of in the Citadel truly was a sidebar. Because I will tell you, because I was in Bravo Company, which is A, B, C, and D, in 1st Battalion. He was in Tango Company, which is 4th Division, which is November Oscar Tango North, Romeo Tango. I did not know anybody in 4th Division. I was too scared to walk. I mean, the people in your battalion, but you don't know people way down there, even if you're classmates. So you don't want to get in trouble. But I'm pretty excited about it. But I find it extremely interesting, and I want everybody to kind of study and understand what fear is being put into these legislators to pull the string of William Timmons.
Yes.
We've worked with William. We've got our detente. We kind of, and he's been very helpful to us on some different things out there. But I've never heard him talk a lot about wanting to go prosecute, criminals and all that kind of stuff. Pasco wants to do it. He likes to do it.
Political.
Especially on the political side. So, we do not want more Craig Caldwell. I would love to have known what would happen to a Craig Caldwell had he been prosecuted by an attorney general's office under David Pasco versus the time served he got. To me, and I understand, if somebody gets caught doing some criminal activity and maybe it's a first offense and maybe they make restitution, and Caldwell made some restitution, but not the full amount. That's one thing. That's from a business, and that's you can maybe you give somebody second chance type stuff or whatever. Not somebody who is in political office. Not that we as chairs of the local county party and leadership at the party and all that kind of stuff. Not that that's kind of like an elected official making laws down there, but we have the trust of the citizens that elected us and the community that supported us. And to sit there and violate that and get off on, a couple hours of the.
Well, not only that, he took funds from 2 different organizations, not one. So that was intentional.
Fully agree. And they have some sort of financial based company down there. That's what his family. But what's even worse, that's right. He's literally reinserting himself in politics right now. He is showing up at Lexington County, the breakfast meetings they had. And he's being welcomed back in. I mean, I love all you guys, but I mean, somebody here had embezzled a bunch of money, got a tiny slap on the wrist. We're not necessarily welcoming you back in less than a year later, I guess, to sit there and participate and be a contributing leader of the party. It just, and it's not like he's some super, wonderkind type person that, he's a once in a lifetime, Elon Musk type type brain, whatever. I'm not sure Elon's that smart or not. I literally have no idea. But it's the good old boy system. And I will tell you, the good old boy system in this state is Lexington. They call it the Lexington Mafia. That's always been kind of the rumor about it. It's a lot of the Republicans don't want to live in Richland because it's so Democrat over in Richland. So they all live in Lexington, but they all work over in Columbia doing their lobbying and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it's been kind of interesting. But I haven't heard from the congressman here about what he's doing. It could be a complete rumor. I'm hoping it's a complete rumor because if he does run for that, we've got the other problem with who we're going to find as our next congressman. So right now, Timmons has made a longer term commitment that he's only going to run for 10 years. So in 2028, and he brings it up himself. So he's not planning on running in 2028. So we have been focused on who we got to find to be our congressman or our Republican nominee in 28. So I really don't want to have to rush it now. So because who knows who may pop up for him. So that's been interesting. And what else did we do this week? Thursday, we went to see Billy Bob Thornton. If you know Billy Bob, apparently Billy Bob Thornton has a band, so he was playing over in Pickens, in Liberty, South Carolina. And I bring it up not because this is a music class, because Benton Blunt, our chairman of Greenville County Republican, or Greenville County Council, was there opening up for those guys and all that stuff. And I think everybody knows they killed the UDO this week on Tuesday. So what the UDO is the Uniform Development Ordinance, which they tried to ramrod through Greenville County Council, or they did ramrod it through before, because last year we flipped our county council. Even though there's 10 Republicans and 2 Democrats, it was probably one of the most liberal county councils in the state, and we flipped 4 seats, I think, 4 seats, and that took it back to the conservative side. But what they did right there before the end, after they had all lost their primaries, what did they do last summer? They ramrodded through this UDO, and it's like, wait a second, nobody's read all this, and it was just as corrupt as all get out, especially the process that they did. But you see the establishment struggling to hold on. They're trying to, with whatever they can do, and it's taken a while. It's taken from January with our people getting sworn in until now in August to be able to get that thing reversed. And I know some of it, there were some, maybe, I don't know if it's final approvals or if they were actually doing a bunch of stuff, but we put up on the screen, the 7 of our people that voted for it or to kill it. And there was obviously the Dan Tripp and Liz Seaman voted against that. And then our personal county council member, Frank Farmer, wasn't there. Amazing. Missed the vote.
He didn't want to put his name on the line.
It could be that because technically, remember, and I don't know. I mean, what they do is when they set up a new council every 2 years, they do it at the State House. They can change their rules, and one of the rules would allow and permit them from a distance to vote. Like you can get on Zoom and all that stuff, which Kelly Long actually did that. Where was Kelly? She was like in Utah or something, like somewhere. But she knew this was important. She arranged to be able to be all in the meeting, even though she was out of state, and she voted. Why did Frank Farmer not do it? And you know where he was? Okay. Do you have that picture? He was in Charleston with Nate Lloyd, my predecessor, and with Luke Rankin, another Rhino establishment House rep. He was with them at the AIPAC, AIPAC, American Israeli something action committee. But it's all that it was a free trip down there. They just happened to have their national organization was going on and having it in Charleston. Now, my guess, just so y'all know, I mean, they have these conferences, these types of conferences all the time. AIPAC, I think I'm pronouncing it right, they're just happen to be in the news all over the place because Tucker Carlson's slamming them, and this is illegal foreign lobbying about why the money we're paying to that, we can have opinions on that, but it's like in the news and it's a big deal. And what I think is those guys got invited as all of the typical people that would be there, the congressmen and congresswomen and all those people. They were like, I ain't going to that conference because I don't need the drama or the the attacks or whatever. So I think they had empty spaces and gave it to lower level people that, like, your local county council member and a House rep and Nate Lloyd. And it's kind of like, I don't mind people going to these things and going to, getting, free stuff and training. But then if you look at what Luke Rankin posted about it, which I found quite interesting, is, learned a lot. It's great. And we need to be 100% supporting and doing all this. He made a position, and if that's what he wants to, have his career on, that's fine. But it's just like, this is literally what they're complaining. Marjorie Taylor Greene, all those guys are complaining about is these legislators have been bought off by fancy trips and things out there. Now, this has nothing to do with Israel and all that kind of, we can all debate that, but if Ukraine was throwing something, or South, Venezuela was throwing, and I'm going and getting big fancy dinners and big, nice hotels, we would have concerns, and we need to, experience or look at it a little bit deeper as opposed to just, I support Israel or I don't support Israel, that type of stuff. So I mean, that's the fear. Now that's just with foreign stuff. The same thing goes on with pharmaceuticals and everything else that's out there. So understand what the game is. We have to play in that game, and we need to get our elected officials to work with us and be collaborative and all that kind of stuff. But they seem to only work with the other side because that's who's got the money, because they do nefarious things, so they got tons of money and they get that stuff out there. But if I was somebody, I'm Ukraine and I'm advocating for more missiles, more of this type of stuff, I'm going to sit there and be paying some people to be lobbying all that jazz. So we got to understand how it's all working out. So that's why our main saying is watch what they do, not what they say.
Just a comment on Luke Rankin.
Yes.
He's the senator.
Not that.
No. This is the one out of Lawrence. There's two Luke Rankins. One's a state senator, one's a House rep. Neither are good. Put it that way.
I'm wondering about rank on rank.
You can rank. You can rank in the other rank. Either rank. I don't really care.
Judiciary committee and big on legislative reform. That's what we're trying to push in our legislative committee. So
He's been on legislative.
We want to get it, and he was a big holdup on the two-way. He kept our constitutional carry in his committee. He sat on that forever and ever. We got no pressure on him to get it out there. So
right.
The other one, they're both bad.
Yes.
It's a different guy.
Yes.
High condition.
Yes. I would probably have changed my name if my name was Luke Rankin. Because the senator was there first.
Yeah.
Are they related? They have
No,
They're identical
Yeah.
twins.
they're voting and what they do. Legislative is about the same. So, but it is what it is. But it is kind of, I don't know. There's some other stuff about Lawrence and Luke Rankin. So, but that's where we are with that. So, anybody have comments, questions, things we're interested in? I will say that Frank is working on with the legislative committee putting together the resolutions for our October 13th meeting. What I wanted us to do is just have simple one-page resolution saying we support school choice. With judicial or closed primaries is number one because that's the biggest issue.
Judicial reform,
Mm-hmm.
right to life,
School choice is in there. We want to oppose taxpayer-funded lobbying. Introduce that. What we're trying to do is hit people in the pocketbook. When a former House rep from here in Greenville decides not to run for re-election, he doesn't run for re-election, and the very first thing, what do? They become a magistrate's judge, or even if they're not lawyers. Well, this particular one is the government relations person at Greenville Tech. Why are we paying somebody probably 6 figures in an expense account to lobby for Greenville Tech? We're paying somebody to go to Columbia and really just party when they're down there. That's all those people do, and lobby the government for more taxpayer dollars to go back to Greenville Tech. That should be the job of the president. That should be the. I literally was looking up an article on the Greenville News this morning. I see a banner ad, and it's announcing the new president of Greenville Tech. And I'm like, why is Greenville Tech spending money to advertise the new president of Greenville Tech? You wonder why the government, or why the fake news media is jaded or spins things toward the establishment, is because they're getting paid. They're getting paid. Normal people buy ads and do stuff and pay money. Or think about the radio stations too. But it's also, they get a lot of government funding, and they want to keep the establishment of the people that are in office that approve these things. They want to keep them happy, and spending money to advertise the new president of Greenville Tech. I'm like, I don't see Furman University or when the Seminole got a new president of the college, they didn't advertise it in the local paper online. Why is Greenville Tech? Does anybody care who the president of Greenville Tech is? I don't care. And I'm like, why are we spending money on that? And why it's probably, and we people have learned it with Ukraine. It's like, oh, you spend a bunch of money over there and they launder some money back. Well, guess what? I think this is my supposition, and this is what a public corruption unit would be able to go in there and find, the PASCO of it, is that they're sitting there laundering money back to these institutions so it can come back to them. Yeah, that's what's going on.
And where was the ad? Was in Greenville News?
Yeah, Greenville. It was online. It was just it's a banner ad or one of those ads within an article.
So there's a flow of money towards
Yes,
a very sympathetic news outlet.
correct.
Well, you've got a very tight connection between local industry and Greenville Tech, which also leads to the politicians trying to bring industry in and support.
Right.
So it's a three-way connection.
Right. And it's and I don't mind helping and training people to work in being or wherever the heck they work and what they do over at Tech and all that kind of stuff. I think our technical college system in South Carolina is highly rated and does a good job. I, even as a guy that has too many degrees and higher degrees and all that kind of stuff, if I was doing going today back to or looking at going to college, I would make a totally different decision than I did back in those days. But guess what? I finished. College was paid for, but I finished with a law degree and an MBA, and I think I had $27,000 of debt. I mean, these kids are raking up $27,000 of debt every quarter or every half a year, every semester. So, I just do not. And I actually, not to sidebar too much, but literally what they do with these kids to get them so tied up with student loan debt is to keep them as part of the machine. I work at a huge law firm in Atlanta called King and Spalding. It's the premier, it's the oldest, biggest law firm. They're international now. The former FBI director was a partner there. All that kind of Christopher Reagan's like, oh, I worked in the same place he worked. Oh, it's great. Yeah. No, it's not a claim to fame, but it's one of those big monster type firms, and I got a job there, but I mean, it was whatever. But I mean, a lot of the kids, they hired most of the people they all hired out of Ivy League colleges or Ivy League universities. It wasn't just the smart ones with no debt. It was the smart ones, family ones. It was the smart ones that had a ton of debt. Like one of the guys that I was there with as an associate, this is the old days, he had like $200,000 of debt. He had to work that job. They had him under his thumb. He just couldn't do it. And I asked, and I had another friend that was actually from Charleston, and he went to those big schools and had all that debt on. So I said, why did you go to those places as opposed to Carolina, which I'm a cheap, miserly kind of guy. But he's like, oh, so I could get this job. And I'm like, well, I've got the same job you got. But I mean, it was. But I was like, it was a different situation with me. But I did more things on the outside. But it's just imagine that's what they're locking these kids down with debt. They're saddling with them with debt that they can never get out of. Even if they file bankruptcy, you cannot bankrupt out of student loan debt. Think about that craziness. So the government gives the universities more money so they can do a pottery class,
We wonder why
degree.
tuition's so high.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous. So, but enough on that. So we have, if you want, we can introduce our friends that are visiting from Lancaster County. It is a more establishment, to say it kindly. I'm kind of trying to be a kinder, gentler person sometimes.
It's a liberal area.
I don't know. Is it liberal, the people? But go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, kind of what got you here, why you're kind of interested in what you're doing around and why you're traveling around meeting with some other GOPs and stuff.
Okay, my name is Bruce, and Bruce Cohen, and this is Ken, this is the chair of Indian Land Republican Club.
Right.
Okay, because the GOP we found to be a little more liberal than we like to be. We're also an action group, like we go to DC, lobby, we've been to Columbia, doing some lobby, and also you were talking about council meetings and county council. We've been out to the council meeting and tried to get some developments stopped.
Right.
We've also got transgender bathrooms stopped to the point where once we were done, they didn't even take the vote.
Very good.
They shut it down. And what we brought up, all we had to do, I went on Google and found 10 different states that are getting sued for $30 million or more due to transgender bathrooms not being installed. So boys went into girls' room and the girls were raped. And across the country, you think Fulton County is the only one. It is across the county, it's across the nation.
What I always try to tell people, there's multiple ways to skin a cat.
Right.
Find alternative, strange ways that you can actually accomplish what the goal. The other side is doing it all the time.
Yeah.
So find different ways. Convince them of the liability, and maybe they'll drop the whole vote and all that.
That was it. One person talked about the Bible and how there's only two genders, and another person spoke about how you guys can't even fix traffic. You're going to start working on bathrooms. Come on, you have no idea what you're getting into, and that's where it's at. With that particular subject, it was just you start out with $1 million, it turns into $2 million for a bathroom. You say, okay, we're not going to do that. We're just going to let the boys in the girls' bathroom if they wear a skirt. Next thing you know, some poor kids getting raped, and that's what happened across the country. And they opened up their eyes and didn't even take a vote. It was don't ever think the vote come back. We have to keep on top of this.
Right. Oh, no.
They bring these things back in different ways.
Change the word too.
And that's it. And we keep our eyes on it.
Listen, I mean, they say it is, what is it? Freedom is 3 generations away, or, and all that, or one generation. Is it one generation? One. Yes, you're right. If we don't watch it, they will always pull back. We just last year, we defeated that additional penny sales tax.
Yes.
They had it in Anderson too. Our people over there defeated it there. Guess what's coming back up on the ballot?
In Anderson again, they're voting on it again.
Yeah.
They won't win.
Well, at least they're putting it up. I'm not sure if it's been finalized, but they're certainly putting it up. But they're trying. They will it is a constant battle. We have to always be on watch. We have to always be fighting for it.
That's funny that you bring that up because we defeated the paying tax in our county last year, and it's back on the ballot.
Is
And
it really already?
paying taxes for is to fix the road called 521, which is becoming a parking lot instead of a road. And what they decided is if you give us $400 million, we may or may not come up with a plan to fix it. So we really need the money to fix it, and we guarantee we'll fix it unless we run out of money before we fix it. And I was at that meeting, and thank God we have some good councilmen that were like, all right, now what happens if you run out of money before it's fixed? They want the money now, but it's going to take 5 years to develop a plan.
Oh.
To develop a plan.
And we asked them.
That does not sound like Trump time to me.
And we had 2 or 3 councilmen that were just like, so what happens if you run out of the money using it for other roads or other things, well, then it won't get fixed. But we are guaranteed that it'll get fixed unless it doesn't. And that's it. Pretty much. Yeah, I'm a little bit paraphrasing, but yes, that is what they said.
Yes.
So, we defeated it, and it is back up on the calendar, I guess, it's November.
The theory that we had last year, because there was a bunch of counties that were doing the penny tax. The theory that we've had is the movement, the Trump movement, the anti-establishment movement, whatever you want to call it, is we flipped Greenville County. So we flip. I mean, we're doing all of these things that that if they didn't get it in then, it was never going to get in. So now they're still trying, but you see, they're trying to push this stuff through before we, the uprising, becomes in power, and then you're not going to do it. I have no problem if they need more money to do something, a 5-year plan to think about something, figure out something. No, that's not the right way to do. So
We're willing, most people, as far as I know, are willing to pay because we need 521 fixed. We want a plan, or we just hand the money.
right. And that was the issue with the gas tax. If they needed more money for the gas tax, I think we would have been okay with it, but we needed reform first. We needed reform of DOT, and then we'll give you more money, not give you more money on a promise that you will reform. Has anybody heard about all the reform they did with DOT? They got the gas tax, but I forgot, I didn't hear about the reform that they promised us they were going to do once they got the gas tax.
Well, in our GOP meeting, not our meeting, the GOP meeting,
And can you tell us who your chair and state EC is for your GOP?
or Sandy McGarry.
Okay,
And,
he's the chair.
yeah, and it's the EC of the county is Charlene.
Okay, I don't know her.
Okay.
I know Sandy, she's not a fan of ours, so.
No, you know what? She's nice.
Is
She's nice. She's not the most conservative person I ever met. Yeah, nice. So
I've seen her say things in DC, state EC meetings that she's not very nice. From our perspective, she's not very nice. So just,
Like I said,
I
she's
get it.
not as
And I'm not asking you to say it. I will be the one to say it from our perspective.
Yeah, I
But
live
she
close.
was a state house member.
I live closer to her.
Yeah, she used to be a member of the state house. She was a house rep, I think, from up there. I saw her in action defending Chad Conley when I made a statement at the September 2021 state EC meeting that Chad was under SLED investigation.
Yeah.
Sandy McGarry at the December meeting when they voted to ban me because I had obviously told a lie that he wasn't under SLED investigation, and he really wasn't under SLED investigation. But it was SLED did announce 2 days later that he had been under investigation for 2 years, and then Alan Wilson again, the good old boy system, failed to prosecute Chad because he didn't have the necessary criminal intent. The money's missing, $275,406, but Chad did not have the necessary criminal intent to know what he was doing, even though we had been yelling and screaming. I don't need to go too sidebar on this, but Sandy, as a sitting House rep, was influencing votes, pushing things of when there was a known SLED investigation. I mean, it could be interference with an investigation, but it's a deep thing. But the good thing in South Carolina, there's no statute of limitations on criminal activity.
This is sides up, and matter of fact, Ken and I were just talking. Yeah, we were talking about corruption, and we were just talking about Charlie Rangel, which most people probably don't know, but he was the guy who wrote the tax codes, and he didn't pay tax.
Yes.
And he got caught, and they censored him. I don't even know if he had to pay back the money.
No.
No, and they censored him. Yay. And he got to keep the seat. And he kept writing
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
So, and there is corruption, and I find, that really pisses me off. And even Democrats, you know how they're going to be, you know who they are. But then when you got a rhino who says they're a Republican and they're really a Democrat, that bothers me more. And that's part of what I want to talk about today. We have Brandon Newton as our whip in the House. Okay, so he affects everybody. He's from our area.
Brandon Newton is the House rep from their area. He is on the house side or on both sides. There's somebody called the whip. That's somebody who goes around and whips up votes, but it's part of the establishment and part of leadership, and that's what Brandon is.
Right, now, it turns out that we had, in Lancaster County, we had 5 precincts removed. And
Because your population in Lancaster is going down.
it's going up. And now, there happens to be a law that says that each precinct can have a cap of 1,500 voters. Doesn't mean that 1,500 voters have to show up. There's a cap of 1,500 signed up voters. Registered.
Right.
Registered voters. And one of them, they just combined 2 in a place called Sun City, and they have 5,600. I believe it's Black Horse Run has like 4,000 or 5,000 to 1, and they just don't care about the law. They just don't care what the law is. So, anyways,
We have some precincts here in Greenville that probably go up to 6, almost 7,000.
Yeah.
They've been working on splitting them for 4 years since we've been in leadership. They just haven't done it yet because the legislature has to do this.
Of course, they're not gonna do anything.
But that's to split them up. I've never seen them consolidating them from
They
what you're saying.
consolidate. And so, I was in Lexington County and I was talking about this, and I'm looking at people. There was about 120 people there. Mark Lynch spoke that night, and I was telling people about this. And you're looking at people, 120 people. You could have heard a pin drop, and they were looking at me like deer in headlights. They were like, "Are you kidding me? I can't believe this is happening." Because part of this is we lose executive committee men. Each precinct has an executive committee man. So what they're really trying to do is take away our representation.
Yep.
Is what they're trying to do in the GOP. And you combine that with, he was talking about Curtis office. You know that they want to start appointing the treasurer and other chairs. So they want to take it out of our hands.
Right.
And they want to take it away from the voter. Eventually, they want no voting. They just want to appoint your good old boys, as you put it. They want to appoint whoever they want to appoint. Whoever's going to get the most kickback is who they're going to appoint. Now, so I announced this. I did a call while they videotaped it, and because what I announced was that Randy Newton had spearheaded it. To my knowledge, I didn't have all the information at the time. Said I'm under the understanding Randy Newton spearheaded this, and when you have Democrats like Brandon Newton in charge of things, you're really lost. And they have no idea, and this is a big thing with Democrats, the outcome, the end result that happens later. Their foresight, Democrats' foresight is not good. It's just not good long term.
But Brandon has an R behind his name. You called him a Democrat.
He is a Democrat.
Okay, but he
in
runs
my
as a
eyes,
Republican.
in my eyes. Okay. All right. We'll get with Rhino and Best, but I won't.
Okay.
So, anyway,
Brandon is a younger kid. How do you say kid? He's probably in his 30s now, but he's younger. He's been almost groomed for the positions that you kind of see. And where does Brandon work?
Brandon works in Columbia.
No, he's a house rep, but what does he do for a living? He works for what's the university system up there?
Coastal Carolina.
It's whatever part of USC.
University system.
Yeah,
it's that division.
It's whatever the like
Lancaster.
Lancaster or USC, but he's either an administrative guy. I don't know if he actually teaches a class or something, but he's paid by the government. He's literally, and he gets all the free time he wants, and he's compensated by, his entire livelihood is linked up with the government.
So, part of this is they videotape it, and they send it back to them. And also, I talked about the fact that Lancaster has not had an EC meeting in years. The only time ECs get together is during reorg, and that's it. We had no idea that other places meet monthly with ECs, other places meet weekly. Even if they, I think with Sumter meets quarterly, and they're trying to get more. We don't meet. I didn't even know we were supposed to meet. I'm a precinct EC. I didn't know we were supposed to meet.
How many precincts do y'all have in Lancaster?
Well, we're down to 31. We're at 36.
You were at 36. The ones that they consolidated, did they consolidate it in conservative areas? Is that part of the thought process? They consolidated
I believe
two America First people into one and cut the numbers that way?
I believe so.
Now, if I can step in for a second.
Sure.
If you go to South Carolina State Elections, voter chart, they have a chart out, including the old law, about 1,500 registered voters per precinct. And they just put out, the counties with over 40% precincts not compliant with the law. Greenville, 78% out of compliance.
Right.
Okay, or counties, it's a one-page thing with the law on the bottom. Lancaster's 45, but a lot of precincts are out of sync with the old law of 1,500. So by consolidating, you're not losing delegates, you're losing
ECs,
ECs.
county ECs.
So you're losing voice going back to Columbia. But if you go to SC Safe Elections, they've been working on this for a long time. And they got a great chart to share with, at the bottom, on one of the charts, the law. So the question now is, what's been going on?
And so I spoke to Brandon. I got on the phone because the county EC called me and said I threw him under the bus by telling the truth. And I said that. I said, I didn't say anything that wasn't true. And he said, you're lying. And I said, except it's true. And so I called up Brandon because they said Brandon was upset. And what he said was that he thought that I would give him the respect of asking him first. I said, okay, we're on the phone now. He must have said that 20 times in 20 minutes.
The respect part?
So, right. So what I asked him, how was all this happening? Or, did you spearhead this? I'm under the understanding you spearheaded this. And we start talking and he said, well, number one, even though we took away precincts, you're not losing your ECs. I said, well, hold on. So I said, really? Okay, I let it go. And we kept talking. 10 minutes later, he started talking about how Indian Land started off with 4 precincts when he first got elected. And since then, we've actually grown to many more. And you've gotten more ECs. And I said, that's due to population, that's growth. Are you telling me that if you add a precinct, you add an executive committee person, but if you take away a precinct, you don't delete an executive committee person? Well, you do. I said, okay, so we're not losing them, but we are losing them. That's okay. All right. So,
Yes.
and that's, that's kind of like his attitude. He doesn't care. And the honesty is not there. So, and then we spoke some more, and I asked him, so what's the process of this? Because I want to know what's going on. He said, it has to go to committee. And it came out of committee. It really didn't have much to do with me. It went to the Senate. He said, it went to the Senate. Did the House vote on it? And he said, well, yes, the House had a vote on it. I said, and you're the way. Well, yes, I am. I said, okay. You talked about a committee. Who's on this committee? And he said, it's not a big deal. It's a committee. It's an election committee. And he said, it's not a big deal. Well, I have to be the chair of the election committee. It is a big deal. And, and it just goes down this line. And the arrogance, the absolute arrogance. I can't believe he even told me all this stuff. It's like,
Most people would not be persistent and keep pushing and asking the next question. Oh, I didn't have much to do with it. Okay, well, you didn't have enough. That's great. Thanks. I'll see you at the golf club or something later. But you have to be. What we teach people is you have to be professional, but be persistent. If you're not getting the answers, keep asking. Don't yell and scream, and don't give them the opportunity to explain. And I do think we should give them the opportunity. What we do here and what we're working on, we got a couple projects right now, is we will document, write up the letter, send it to them, give them an opportunity to think about it, answer it properly. But we're really boxing them in a corner. There's no way, if you already know that he's the chair of the committee, you say, oh, it's this committee that you run and that it's a local law, local delegation issue that you voted for. Brandon had substantial influence on the changing of the number of precincts in your county. That's what they do. Our people in Greenville probably had no influence because they didn't vote on it, because if it's a local bill or local issue, it's only the people locally that vote on it, especially on the Senate side of it. So, he's one of the 2 or 3, I don't know how many House reps and state senators you have in Lancaster, but, not a lot, maybe 1 and 1, maybe. I don't know. A couple more, maybe, but
They were designed a few years ago.
Right.
But just on that, I remember one time when we found out that there were Democrats in charge of committees. We have a supermajority, and we have the House, we have the Senate, and the governors. That's supermajority. And then we're reading an article that says that there's, I believe it's 3 committees, that there's Democrats are chairs of the committees, which means anything that's conservative, a bill, will never hit the floor to be voted on. That's what it means. So we asked Brandon about it. We saw Brandon, and he said that's just Freedom Caucus lies, and that it's not true. So I asked him. I said, "Is this article not true?" They said, "Hey, you didn't look at the article." He said, "Well, yes, it's kind of true, and yes, there are people, there are Democrats in charge of certain committees." So I asked how this happened, and he said, and he went back to, that those Freedom Caucus guys, they're all liars. And, just to paraphrase it, pretty much, he had to lie to show how honest he was, and to show liars that the Freedom Caucus, even though they're telling the truth,
you need a show.
show what liars.
You need a podcast.
And it's just, and we voted this guy in.
I know.
None of that. He'll probably be, even with all this, he'll be voted in again, most likely, unless people stand up and no.
And that's in what you're getting at. Is a couple points that I'll say. There are Democrats currently now that I think maybe quit it, were chairs of subcommittees. But back during COVID, remember how we could not get anything through the House to deal with the COVID stuff, because there was actually a Democratic chair of a committee, and it was the health committee or whatever, it's the 3M committee, whatever. But it's a committee that usually had nothing to do. But during COVID, it was like the most important thing. And there was a Democratic chair that would not let anything go through. That's why nothing in the state of South Carolina happened, because they had put a Democrat as a chair of that 3M committee back in those days. We fixed that because that was obviously super atrocious. But then they made them chairs of subcommittees under these other. Which, if you want to kill a bill, and it's a conservative bill, you just put it into a subcommittee being run by the Democrats who kill it. And then you get to blame the Democrats when you go run for office. Well, the Democrats did this, and you need to elect me, and blah, 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 blah. There was a gentleman here in town that used to run Rhino Hunt, Harry Kibler. Harry got very involved, and this is old, 10, 20 years ago, before my time, or our time here. Harry got involved because he was out there, we need more Republicans. We need more Republicans down there at the State House. And then so he was out there fighting to get more the Republicans elected. And then he realized we had a majority. He's like, why do we need more Republicans? Because we already have the majority. And we at that time, but now we have a super majority, but it was a substantial, a decent majority, wasn't super. But he's like, we don't have a Democrat problem. We have a rhino problem.
Yes.
So that's why he started the whole rhino hunt thing like that. I get it all the time. People are like, why are you always attacking Republicans? Because I'm like, we don't have a Democratic problem. I don't care what the Democrats do. We don't need a single one of their votes. I don't know I don't even know the name, and I'm not sure if it's a male or female, the Democratic chair of the Greenville County Democratic Party. they have zero influence on anything we do. I don't care. I hate to be rude about it, but I'm like, you're a substantial minority. It doesn't matter to us here. So, we don't pay them any attention. But that's, the problem is the Republican side of it. I don't remember my second point, but going with what you're, but what I was going to say is we're boxing them in the corner, and what we're all, and that's to get them on the record, because what we're trying to do and what we have calling out liars, calling them out, because we got to communicate it to the masses about what Brandon Newton is doing and what a lot of these other establishment rhinos are doing. So what we're trying to focus a lot more, very targeted on our legislative stuff. That's why we'll do just targeted legislation. We're going to push those things hard, but we're getting a lot more involved in the election side of it. So, because that's really all these people care about is being reelected. All they care about. They want to get elected the first time, and then all they care about is getting reelected. And if they don't think you have the ability to impact their reelection because you haven't built a big enough voice to be able to communicate to the masses and move the masses, because most of us aren't involved. You guys are involved. You got shirts with logos. We got we do all this type of stuff, but we got to get more numbers and influence the people in the middle to understand what's going on, and we have to do that in the elections. Then they will step up and notice. So that's what I'm just from that encouragement side. Focus, get active on the elections. Get active on pointing out this is a bad Republican and this is a good one. That type of stuff. So,
Well, what I'm looking at is back to the ECs, back to the precinct ECs. Not only they vote, hopefully to tell county EC how to vote, which they don't always listen to, which will affect like the RNC vote they just had, which we didn't find out about. And, not only that, it's also to find out what's happening and bring it back down. It's not just voting up, it's ECs of bringing it back down. And now we're finding out that we're supposed to actually be talking to the constituents that vote in like MAGA. That's where I vote. That's where I'm an EC. I'm supposed to start talking to the people that vote there and inform them, bringing the stuff back in. This is the bill. This is what it means. This is the guy that brought it up. He's fantastic. He sucks. Whatever it is, this is what's happening. And we're supposed to be doing that, and that's what you're talking about.
but Sandy McCary is chair of the
I'm working on overriding.
right. But has she brought to you your voter list and given you tools to go out and knock doors?
She wouldn't give me, it was so hard to get an EC list. She would not give me their information, how to contact, anything. So.
But she's a nice lady. So
She is a nice lady, it's just a little bit hard to deal with. So, but we're working on it. And I am calling an EC meeting. And for the first one in years, from what I
You can,
understand,
as a special meeting?
I am allowed to call one as long as I have 4 other ECs that will agree. And then we need a forum to vote on things and to change things unless we bring up a third meeting without a forum, then we can still without, I read the
Nobody's been reading the rules. Very good. I'm impressed.
I actually read Robert's rules, not that I even remember half of it, or a quarter of it, but I read it. You gotta read stuff if you're supposed to know it, I guess.
My caution for you, so you will call a special, you get 5 of them, call a special meeting.
Yeah.
And we've done this at the state level. I think we only need 5 county ECs to call a state special meeting. We have the special meeting, so we all come to order, start the meeting, call it order. Somebody will make a motion to immediately adjourn.
Yeah,
So watch out for that.
Oh,
Ken saw that in our meeting, right? Yeah.
So we did that at the state level, and they called him, Chad Conley, made a motion to adjourn immediately, and they had the votes. So we adjourned the meeting. Didn't even get an opportunity to discuss the issues.
I have a feeling that no matter what I bring up, maybe, we may lose. I just want to vote.
It's
I
okay.
just want to vote. I'm a big person on representation. Even when my guy loses, the lady that I like loses, whoever's running, still, I want the representation. And I don't want it closed down. And sooner or later, they're looking at closing down on voting. And if you think that what happened in Lancaster isn't coming, it's coming there, and it's only up to you to stop it. These are the people that are going to stop it, the ones in this room, the ones not the people that are on your Zoom. And we have to bring it to the people. And that's what you're talking about, people. Bring it, and that's how you do it with the ECs.
Right.
That's who brings it to the people.
And if you had smaller precincts with just 1,500 people, you can manage 1,500 people.
Yeah.
Our person that's EC of this 7,000, the Vermont, I'm like, I don't know how you get over there and knock on that many doors and meet that many people and talk to that many people and try to get them motivated or whatnot to come out and vote and all that kind of stuff. The theory is they establishment want to keep it small to control it all.
Yeah.
We have the opposite theory. We want to make it as big as possible. Whatever the vote turns out to be, it turns out to be. It's the people's, right? But make it as big as possible so there's nobody that can control it. Not the rhinos, not the establishment, but also not us. I don't want to be the one, creating another, just replace them. We don't want to replace rhinos with future rhinos. We want to give the power back to the people, which is really what Donald Trump said in his first inauguration speech, is giving it back to the people.
Save the country, right? He saved the world.
He has. Yes, he has. Probably the best thing that ever happened is the 2020 election. Sad to say, it was horrible, stolen election, but to wake people up about what is actually going on out there, I think it woke people up. I will tell you the event that is waking people up now here in South Carolina is what Drew McKissick and the state executive committee did to Pickens.
Yep.
They've been torturing us and other people in other counties and Lexington and Pamela Dodd, what they did to her and all that type of stuff. But it's finally, I tell our Pickens friends over there, I hate what's happening to you, but I think this is going to be the straw that brings the camel back. I think the 2020 election, Steele, was the straw that broke the camel's back, for the nation and what the deep state. I mean, I remember in the old days when they mentioned deep state and you were like a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
Or remember when they, talking about child sex trafficking. You were crazy. I'm like, I was kind of scared to even say it because it's kind of like, it can't really be, but holy cow.
I had a friend who was connected, and he told me, he said, if we shut down for 2 weeks, it's going to be 10 years. I said, you're nuts.
Oh.
You're nuts.
Yes.
And this was up in New York. I was living in New York at the time. And you don't know where you're going. He said, Bruce, I am telling you, when they shut down, we will never reopen. In New York, it took till 2023 to reopen. In 2022, that's why I lived down here. In 2022, you still were not allowed to eat inside a restaurant. I came down here to visit my sister, and it was like, wow, the real world. Within 6 months, my business was sold, and we had a house down here. So on and so forth.
A lot of people that are traditional from here, my family's been here since the 1600s or whatever, but they all say, you got all these Yankees moving down, coming from California, all that kind of mess.
California us.
Well, I mean, obviously there's some bad ones, but I will tell you, you guys are the ones that are changing South Carolina because you are persistent. You do keep asking questions. You've seen it in where you're coming from, and you came here to escape it, and you see it here. And you see what maybe we got 10 years or 20 years behind, which is a good thing. I'm glad we're a little behind on that. But we actually have an opportunity where we can flip it and change it and make a real difference when it's probably a lost cause in California. I do think California will get so bad, or New York so bad at some point in time, the whole thing will flip, just like the country kind of has on many fronts. But I mean, it's maybe not. You don't think California will ever? Come on, it's got to come back.
communist state of California.
I mean, when it goes down the tube so bad, eventually everybody's moved out and you only got 2 Republicans left, or something. I don't know, but and no Democrats.
Most of the people leaving on conservative Republicans.
Well, yes.
And the way that they have 30 staff, especially with ranked choice voting, it's hard to
They have
get that.
pensions going.
Yes.
You could have 2 Democrats running for the same office.
In California,
Running against the vote.
In New York.
Yeah.
So they do that, I guess so.
That's how- that's how you become-
What's his name? Got it, yeah.
If you change it,
I'm down, Westchester, just outside of New York City,
I know it.
40 miles.
Born in Brooklyn, lived almost.
I moved to Putnam County.
All right, y'all can have your family reunion.
You can get the reunion later.
I will say the funniest thing I ever saw was I had a friend from up north that lived in Atlanta, and I was at his house, and he actually had, we here in the South we got all these old like Civil War pictures and colonial pictures, Civil War pictures. They're always incorrect. And I went to his house and they were in blue. I was like, who are these guys in blue? I don't even understand what this is. But they literally, you guys literally have Civil War stuff with the Northerners. It was kind of funny.
yeah, I was just gonna say, if you take the illegals out of the equation in California, and if you have a paper ballot, the whole reason it is the way it is because of the election fraud that's been going on for decades with Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom, who is her nephew.
That's only a problem. That's only a small portion of the problem. In the state of California, they have dumbed down their society so much to the point where they think that the government is there to solve every problem there is on the planet. And the problem is the government is the problem. Reagan said it back when he was governor. He says,
Yes.
if I come to you and I say I'm from the government out here to help you, run.
But think about the gentleman that told you if they shut down for 2 weeks, it's 10 years. They have done this to take civics out of schools, to make everybody think they're dependent upon the government, the voter fraud that's going on, the counting of illegals, all that type of stuff. I mean, they have a long-term plan and they have been working it. And once you see it, and I think a lot more people are waking up and seeing it. When I had regular people come up and talk to me, and they're like, "Well, I really do think this election was stolen." But they know, they look at me as, "Oh, you're one of those crazy, conservative radicals," they call us. But then these are normal business people and folks that are out there that are asking the question. And I'm like, I think we've turned a corner.
Yeah.
And now the beautiful thing is, I think you see Trump and they're working. It's almost like every day's Christmas. They're working on these things. Who would ever think, and I know people say, oh, the feds aren't that involved in elections and all that stuff. So what Trump is saying is not necessarily going to impact us here locally. But I think it impacts us hugely because it's just the PR side of it. Now we can go in and go to our local House reps and state senators and say, look what they're doing and look at the bully pulpit that Donald Trump is using from a federal level to sit there and get real, our safe elections and all that kind of stuff implemented. It's like, and it's like, I get it. Trump can't, come change the South Carolina State Election Commission down here, but we can because he's now given us the authority to do it. We're doing it on the school choice side. What they're doing on school choice on the federal level is going to give us the ability to pound the table down here, get some decent school choice at the local level. So
I just wanted to add, Steve Bannon is working on the redistricting.
who's this crazy guy? What?
Yes, and this is so important. The Republican Party has been asleep at the wheel. They have cooperated. It is really one party, and it has been that way for so long. 90% of our problems is due to Republican cooperation with the Democrats.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, we would be perfect.
Donald Trump is insisting on things being changed and being done. Not this, I got to be nice to everybody. We don't have to be nice.
Nope.
As long as you're speaking truth, we're not about misleading people. There's a lot of folks that like to mislead for the temporary vote or whatever to get, I mean, but we gotta speak truth and we gotta call people out where they deserve to be called out. And a lot of them were too nice. And even Donald Trump's too nice, in my opinion, sometimes. He was certainly way too nice in the first term. He's even too nice now. I wish he was, these recess appointments, I wish he was, I mean, he did try a little bit in the beginning, and he's got 1,000 things he's working on. I get it. But, you know.
One of the things, Susie Watts, his chief of staff, is a former career lobbyist for Pfizer, for big tobacco and big food products.
Yes.
So we're talking, he asked for her, he wanted her to be his chief of staff, but let me tell you, they can do so much more on the medical side that they're not doing. Anyway, so.
But let me ask this: are they making a lot of progress? Is RFK making a lot of progress?
Massive.
Yes, I think he is.
Is it?
Not enough on
Not
what
enough.
you want, not enough on some of the things I want, but they're making enough progress that if progress continues, I'm okay with incrementalism as long as it's going in the right direction. You know, I would love to get all the way to the end, but sometimes it's almost impossible to get through. So
He cracked the wall.
Sometimes you gotta take baby steps.
yes.
He put a crack in the wall.
And think about it, it's not just, he's not fighting for just one thing. Medical freedom or school choice or election integrity or whatever, exposing corruption. There's so many things he's trying to do at the same time. The big, beautiful bill is not perfect. There's a lot of things you can pick out of there. And there's a lot of people getting paid and, whatever to get things done. Little special projects and all that stuff that we were not happy with. But I think it moves the complex.
He's moving the Overton window
Exactly.
Yes.
on so many different
Yes.
subjects.
Yes. And the Overton window is kind of like what's reasonable. Talking about child sex trafficking was not in the Overton window a while ago. It was like, that's crazy. I'm not even going to listen to what you say. It's so far out of but you move that window where it's now acceptable to talk about it. And then it just becomes, then you can actually start dealing with it.
Trump's not perfect, or Biden's not perfect, Susan Wiles not perfect, but they all have talents that are being used to move us.
Right. And a lot of people could complain that Susie, maybe being a lobbyist or whatever she used to do, I'm not in tune with it, but you could say, oh, that's a bad thing and we need to get rid of her and she's bad. Or is it the other side that she actually knows how the system works and she knows how to fix it?
Yeah.
So I think, and I have some confidence, and I know Trump's been working with her for a long time. She was out of Jacksonville. Do you know who her father is? Who's her father? Susie Wall's father. He was the commentator on he's a football player, commentator. Oh, we'll look it up real quick. But I mean, it's I think you have to have seen the evil and understand it from the inside to be able to fix it. Donald Trump, former Democrat, he fought off Pat Summerall is her father, which is trying to, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. But you have to understand it to be able to fix it. Karen?
I have a question. So one question that wasn't asked of you with Pasco Tuesday was about mandates and lockdowns. If that comes again, does the AG have any influence on stopping mandates and lockdowns if they pull out into their bioeconomics?
I think what he talked about that would cover that was the sovereignty stuff, state sovereignty. I think that's where it encompasses.
He would have the Attorney General can stop that?
I think he has got a big bully pulpit and probably, the enforcement of the part. I mean, I think he
Because that
would.
could happen, and I think we all think, oh,
Yeah.
that's over, but
Or you
it
could
could happen
choose
again.
not to enforce it.
Yeah.
You can just choose not to force it, which is.
Or I would argue, if it's a federal thing, I would argue we don't need to enforce it because it's state rights and all that kind of stuff, not just not enforce a law that he is supposed to
If you look
enforce.
at Alan Wilson on the AG side, and look at stuff, he's fought the federal government on a lot of stuff that they try to put on us.
Maybe.
No, he has filed a lot of lawsuits. And
He's been part of them. I think a lot of them have been PR type stuff. I'm not,
But they're there, and he started some, and he signed up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
He could do more, but he's done something.
And he also claimed he's worked real hard about judicial reform. That's what back to that point, that's starting to be what Pasco's talking about. Now they're talking about it. On the side that supports, they're saying, now we're against. Alan Wilson has said, I am supporting judicial reform, and I fought really hard for that. And there's no evidence to that. But it has now become a campaign.
And to your point, I'm willing to give Adeline or anybody an opportunity to explain it. If we're incorrect in our supposition and what we're seeing, give him an opportunity to explain it. I don't think, most of the time they won't talk to us because they realize they're not going to be able to explain it. You know, I sent something to Pamela Vet's people this morning that I've sent to the higher up people, but she's got something on Tuesday at the clock and wants us to promote it. I'm like, sure, I might be happy to come, but can you get her to answer this question that we sent a letter to her last November and she's refused to respond. So, you know, I mean, and if I'm wrong, I will be a culprit, whatever I can do and apologize. But I mean, she's not answering because we boxed her in the corner on this particular issue that has to do with school choice. You can't say you care about kids and all this kind of stuff, and then you're working with people that are hurting kids and doing all that jazz. So but we have to be that way with all the kids. I believe in giving people a chance. I don't think, you know, and you're big on the biblical side of rumor and all that kind of stuff. You know, we have to talk about facts. I am so happy a state EC called me the other day and said, hey, I talked to another state EC and he said, we got 200 lawsuits that have sued thousands of Republicans. You know, is this true? I mean, that's what you should do. If somebody says something that's out there that is, you know, defamatory or slandering somebody, we'll say, you know what, let's call him. Here's a suggest phone number. Let's call him and ask him if he's filed 200 lawsuits. I haven't. I've filed 7 against 22 people. The 22 is a higher number because one judge ordered me to name everybody, and I'm documenting it for this particular individual to be able to take it back to the state EC. Just like with Brandon, the state EC knows he's lying. He's just trying to convert somebody. But this is a person, state EC, that probably was not on our side, that is now working on our side because he's woken up and seen the light, is, you know, he's gonna push it back. And what's this person gonna do? He's gonna be like, well, I just believe the person that told me. Okay, well, the person who told you that is lying. Are you going to turn on that person now? Are you going to help expose that lie and stop all these lies that are out there? They won't. He'll stop talking to that person. Yes.
Another thing about Alan Wilson, he signed a letter asking the FDA to relook at the abortion bill, yet he had years and years to stop the abortion bill from being sent here illegally, and he didn't do anything. So it's one thing to you know, do PR stuff. It's another thing to actually do something about it.
And that's why what we try to do here is document stuff. If you've got a letter where from 5 years ago, you wrote Alan Wilson and said, hey, will you do this based on this law and will you enforce it? And then he ignored it. Then you got something you can really, and you may have that. You may have that.
I posted on X last year.
You did, right.
That law, and, you know, I talked to him at the Arctic Convention in Columbia,
right.
Gave him the information.
Right.
I mean, at least he signed on to that letter. That was a safer way to, you know, take action and say the FDA should reinstitute the original standards for the abortion pill, which have been now become very lenient. And
right.
You don't even need an ultrasound. You can get an order abortion pill from another state, and it's breaking tons of our laws. I mean, it's a strong case that we have against it, and it's not safe for women. Over 10% of women are injured by this pill, ending up in emergency rooms. So, you know, this is an action that we could take, that Texas and Louisiana have taken, and we could also take a lead instead of just signing on with 20 other AGs to a letter that makes us look like we're pro-life. That's good. I'm glad he signed on with the 20 other AGs, but he's just 20, probably 23, whatever, you know, it is. I'm glad he at least did that, but he could do more because we have the laws here. So
South Carolina ought to be able to lead on all this type of stuff. I mean, super majority, we ought to be able to lead on everything.
And we talked to our state legislators about challenging him on this in committee, which right now is kind of a moot point. But you know, he is accountable on oversight committees, and this is the kind of question that the state legislators should have been asking. Why aren't you enforcing this law?
Well, and I think we have the ability and the responsibility as in the party side of it. We don't make legislation, but we do have a bully pulpit. people listen to what we say just because, oh, I'm a good Republican, I listen to whatever I hear the GOP. Why do you think Drew McKissick and all these people are fighting so hard to keep their little titles? It's because they know that those titles have some influence and they can get on the radio or do whatever, and that we don't have is, oh, I'm the chair of the Tea Party or this conservative group or that conservative group. We got to take over, and I'm piling around. I'm sure you guys thought about this, and that we've got to take over the local parties. Sandy can be a nice person. She's not helping our cause. She's not helping your cause. She needs to be removed without.
We have somebody in mind.
Right. But we got to go in there and unelect these people and put people that are cooperative, will talk, that aren't, fooling us with certain things and all that kind of jazz. That's what we got. I sit there and I listen to some of the conservatives on, that we oppose here. We purge most of them. It's all gone or whatnot, so it's not a big deal. I listen to them and I'm like, oh, that's all the stuff we support. So if that's all the stuff we support, why will they not sit down with us and work with us to kind of get it accomplished? I think it's because they say it, but they don't really mean it. And that's why what we do with the pro-life side, that is an easy thing to show and demonstrate. And that's why there's a lot of pro-life groups that aren't really pushing pro-life legislation, that are really just cover for weak Republicans and feel good stuff. So we're doing good work. Y'all are doing good work.
Mendacity.
Sir?
We're knee deep in mendacity.
Yes. Yeah. So you are a writer, aren't you? Yes. Good man. You want to do an update?
Yes, thank you very much.
Think about it. Do you have some more stuff you want to talk about? Well, let him do his pro.
I'd like
and then
to
we
talk to
can
you
go.
guys at the end of the meeting too.
One of the challenges, Ray runs Carrie used to run our pro-life committee. She's part of what we do is we don't hold the titles like forever. Some of them have held them too, but you get more people in and kind of get that flow going. So now we have 2 senior level type people that are doing it. But Ray's one of the challenges when he took over our pro-life committee, I asked Ray to do was to reach out to other counties. And he shows up at the next meeting. He's got a map, and I was like, I've talked to people here. And I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. You throw something out there. But we are in Greenville are not going to be able to accomplish these things. You guys in Lancaster are not going to be able to accomplish things all by yourself. We need to get other people across the state in a unified manner that believe what we believe and start working together on some things. So that's probably what he wants to reach out to you.
We got 52% of the legal abortions take place in this county, but this county only has 12% of the legislative power. So no, we can't win this fight on our own.
52% of abortions in the state happen in
legal. Yes, 52% of the legal abortions in the state took place in Greenville Women's Clinic on Grove Road.
The one that claims not to be an abortion group all day long.
Anyway, Monday we had our adoption event. Laura Combs and her friends showed up. We had a small turnout, but it was phenomenal discussion took place.
And y'all did it down on Main Street at the.
Yeah, it was that took place at Denny's.
Oh, you did it, Denny's.
Yeah, the discussion was phenomenal. It's sad more people weren't there. One of the big takeaways I got is that foster parents don't have a support system for foster kids. Like grandma will watch their grandchild, but grandma's not going to watch a foster grandchild. The brother's not going to watch a foster nephew. So one of the big things they actually want is people who would actually babysit for a few hours these kids so that the mom and dad can actually go and have a love life again. So I'm going to add some volunteer aspects on our website to address this stuff. In a similar manner, I went to a tour on Piedmont Women's Center, which is across the street from the abortion clinic, on Wednesday, and they're also looking for volunteers. So again, I'm going to reach out to some other groups and identify some potential volunteer opportunities for people who may not have the expertise to do legal stuff or the time to get involved in big things, but can do little stuff here and there. Let's see. You already talked about David Pasco, a question that was asked, and then Carrie and I actually gave him some literature to take home with him based on based on the question I had asked.
You cornered. Good.
Yeah, we did. I plan to do the same thing with Mark Lynch.
They were so
and with
doubtful
Simmons.
how he felt and whether I don't know what he was going to do. And I'm like, I hope David. I did not talk to him before. I did not.
Yeah.
I maybe months ago kind of dropped the idea to him, but I wanted to kind of get our written stuff up,
Yeah.
and I still want to do it because I want to get David on the record officially with a letter, but get the other people
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
the record too. So,
Absolutely. But, and I wasn't trying to trap him. I tried to word it so he wasn't really painted in a corner, but at the same time, he knew that this is serious for
Right.
us. Let's see. I'm gonna won't skip ahead on my notes. Carrie, John, and I just talked to the attorney Russell Guest. John coordinated that event for us, and it was extremely beneficial. Basically, when we were telling him these are the laws are being broken, he's like, "Why isn't anyone else doing this?" I mean, he's going to, of course, do his own due diligence on it, but we presented the case, and he's like, "Why hasn't anyone been doing this?"
I mean, sometimes it's an innocent thing. It's just nobody knew, and nobody's really hasn't kind of gotten to that inflection point.
Right.
So, and I'm okay to be a little forgiving on that. If Alan Wilson really just the inflection point has just never come there, I just don't. My gut tells me he's just didn't want to address it. So
I plan to get.
And
I plan to go talk to Timmons. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Hopefully next week, but within the next 2 weeks, I hope to go talk to Timmons with a similar talk. And also, of course,
so you're going to ask him if he's going to enforce it if he's the attorney general?
Well, there's things he can do at the federal level, like put pressure on the FBI, with the oversight committees, put pressure on the FBI to enforce the Comstock Act.
Right.
No, Comstock Act is a federal level. New York can come up with a shield law at a state level and supersede the Comstock Act.
Right.
So and also there's some other things like the FACE Act, Repeal Act, and Restore Act I want to talk to him about. But on the abortion pill side, it's like, let's put some pressure on the FBI to enforce the Comstock Act on this. Especially for the states like Louisiana, Texas, and South Carolina, where it's illegal for these things to happen.
Because there's so many interstate issues involved with this. It's one of the things that Russell Guest told us. So if you want a genuine class action, these pills are being sent across state lines.
Oh, yes. So to me, it's all federal. Yes.
Right.
Great.
And the Comstock Act gives the FBI the authority to act on it.
Yeah, to make it move.
Okay.
And I would think a guy like Cash Patel would want to enforce it.
Yeah.
Not Christopher Ray.
All right, Bridget Van Means is confirmed for Christ on Main.
Right.
And that's coming up on the 13th, I think. Sorry, I'm a little too many things in my mind. The 8th of next month. Right now, Christ on Main is not advertising it. And I talked to Charlie, and he said, yes, it's internal issues with his committee, but he thinks he'll have an answer on Monday. So hopefully I'll have an update on that.
Yeah, they're still going to let you use the space.
Yeah, we are going to have the space. I understand that they want to promote their store, but it's in their store. My church is having an event; they're not sponsoring it, but it's at our church. It's not at the store, so I can understand that. But we're actually in the store, so why aren't you advertising something that your store's doing? But he agrees with me. The problem is with him; it's with the committee. But yeah, with the board. But I'm supposed to. We're going to talk on Monday. He's going to tell me how that goes. Let's see. After that, Mark Lynch, I successfully get it pushed back to the 20th, so it's not in competition with your event, which was on the 13th.
October 13th.
Yeah, because yours got pushed back.
Yes.
Oh,
so y'all had something on the 13th. So yeah, please.
Yeah, you normally do the first Monday. We normally do the second Monday,
Okay.
but you got pushed back. I was able to successfully get it pushed back. I still need to work details with Lisa Marie, but everything's in place. She agreed if I can make this happen, it would happen. So
We didn't push it back on purpose.
No. Yeah, I know you guys got preempted. They had something that day. The library itself had something that day. Yeah, I'm just saying, I was able to overcome it.
Yes. As opposed to just accuse us of trying to interfere with their
No, I
schedule.
wouldn't do that. We have Lisa Van Riper on 10th of November. That's likely going to be back here at Denny's as well.
Okay.
That's what we're planning on now, but it's still in the early stage, but that I expect it to be at Denny's. We have our business meeting next Monday, so we'll get that confirmed then. And I think that
Okay.
covers.
One question I wanted to ask you guys, because we're working on those resolutions, one of them will be in support. We want to keep it short, one pager, but in support of, pro-life, kind of give us the ECs consenting to say, hey, you guys run with it. We may need to talk to you. Is there a particular one of the bills we want to support, or do we just want to talk generally, think about it? And we'll draft something up and y'all can, but
We include that in the verbiage of the bill that you want.
I actually have a list of, I was thinking of these specifically. I created a list this week of what we want from the federal level down to the city level. And I was
keeping it to one page. So that's,
It is.
but if there's a way to do it that gives y'all the empowerment from the executive committee to say, oh, this is the resolution we're passing that empowers them to go forward in what they want to do.
But also, this is from like a platform, the Republican Party platform
Yes.
perspective. So that's, I'm going to put together the resolution.
Right.
I'll reach out to you and see.
Yeah.
And then you say what your concerns are. Go ahead and send me what you want, like you're talking about from the perspective of the Republican Party platform here in Greenville County and South Carolina.
I mean, our ECs are pretty strong, so I'm not, we can push the envelope as much as we can and need to. But I'm like, my point is we want it to be a simple, unanimous, but I want to make the point that this is one of our
Very
4, 5,
simple
6
and
main
Don't
objectives.
use whereas too much.
Yeah, just let me bring it up at Monday's meeting, and if it gets approved, then I'm sure it will have some.
Monday's meeting.
Their meeting, his meeting.
My Monday.
Can we, could it be on the abortion pill, like the mail order?
If you roll it, that's actually better for us. If you want to pick a single issue like that, that will be perfect because it would bring more attention to that particular
I mean,
issue.
to me, that's the
Yes.
primary
Yeah.
issue. just
Okay.
like-
Yeah, that's perfect.
I was gonna do.
Perfect.
I was starting to write it. I'm gonna craft it.
Craft it with just the abortion pill,
Yeah, you
and
send me.
exposing that because I think it'll be.
So
I would enjoy
gonna
talking more about
write
just
the-
that one issue.
I was
Right.
trying to write the life from conception to natural death, but if we have.
But everybody knows that already, like,
Yeah.
let's get into the weeds
So
of a
if you wanna
specific
give people.
accomplishment that we
Yeah.
can.
That's, we.
That's
we-
good. All right.
It's
perfect. Okay.
I'll get you something next week then.
Okay.
Just let me pass it through.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we'll send them out to the entire executive committee probably 2 weeks before the meeting. Maybe do a Zoom call, talk through things. So when we at the meeting, it's just everybody's already, there's no questions coming up from all over the place. And it's just boom. Right. And resolutions, as everybody knows, a resolution really doesn't do anything, but it will set a tone from a PR perspective and what we can do to go back because,
And this will educate. and
yes, no, I think it's great on the
on
education
issues.
piece.
But I agree with the resolution and the point, but it gives us a way of censuring people that are in our party that we supposedly support that don't follow along with the planks and
Yeah.
platforms of the Republican Party, which is key when we got flipped Greenville County. We were able to censor these 4 people and we got them out of office because they were they increased taxes. The Republican Party platform is lower taxes, so we give ourselves weapons to hit people with.
Exactly. We're boxing them in a corner. So then you document up the fact that Brandon Newton has lied to you about something or tried to mislead you because a lot of people, and I was naive about it. I mean, some of the people that I supported a long time ago, Larry Grooms, he purports to be the biggest school choice guy out there. And I've seen, and we got the videos also, Larry Grooms killing a $20 million bill that, or a proviso that we passed in the Senate. And he just gets up there and freaks out and kills it. And I'm like, you all see it, I'm sure, on the pro-life stuff. We see it all. They pretend to be, an election integrity person when they're really destroying the election integrity. So that's what we're trying to expose. But most people, good people in the middle, don't, and I say middle as in not participating in a lot of politics, that they have other things in their life that they're doing, raising kids and jobs and all that kind of jazz. They wouldn't believe somebody would look them in the eye and lie to them.
Yep.
And they do it all the time. All the time.
And the resolution puts a flag.
Right. And we want to keep it simple and not controversial, because these big issues, they shouldn't be controversial, right?
The abortion pill is invisible to most people. They already.
Oh yeah, no, most people have literally no idea. And I think who sent me the article the other day that the 90% of the abortion pills go to the conservatives, 80% go to the pro-life states. It's random.
Red states, they're targeting red states.
Yes, they have all purpose.
It's a deliberate attack on their moral laws. They can't even claim they're being fair about it. It's a direct attack.
Ron, do you have something you would like to announce?
Well, I can do that too.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be on WRD radio this next week, Warrior Solution, promoting the veterans class, Constitution we're going to have. So anyone who's a veteran, call me. We're going to have a core group to participate in that. And the Constitution class will be in September, right after the National Constitution.
So it'll start September 20th, Saturday. It runs for 6 weeks, and we're doing it down at the American Legion Post number 3, which is that nice granite building or whatnot that they're tearing down to build a high rise. They're moving Post 3. Yes.
But that leads me into the fact that we got a new person here who's a veteran. And,
Cool. Thank you
you're
for
going
your
to
service.
introduce some new people. I'll introduce them to the veteran.
But is he a Trump supporter?
MAGA.
Ultra MAGA. When he wears a shirt, it's usually the same for something.
Patrick Riley.
So how'd you hear about us, Patrick?
Well, so I went looking for you, but I've been watching your things here.
Oh, have you? Okay.
For a couple months, yeah. So I've got starting to get a sense of
Okay.
where things are at.
All right, good. Yeah, that's part of the outreach thing from your perspective. That's why we have to communicate and reach a much bigger group of people. And I'm glad that you saw us here or wherever found it somehow. So.
It makes the group very approachable, right? So
Yeah.
the video is very helpful.
Oh yeah. Because in the old days, everybody was like, "Oh, they have all these cars out here, and they're having some meeting." It's like most people probably thought it was like a Klan meeting or something. The opposition would probably say it was like that or something like that. They were all like, "What's going on in the little brick building?" Yeah, that's what I probably shouldn't make jokes like that, especially but no, we are a very approachable group. We want people to come in and and then not everybody can get here, that type of stuff. So, and these gentlemen are actually coming up because they're from Lancaster. They're coming to our meeting. They're going to a meeting over in Pickens tonight. Some folks over there, and then they're going to go to the camp meeting in Spartanburg, which they'll have tomorrow morning. And that's our friends that kind of came here. They wanted to name it something other than Spartanburg Coffee and Politics, so they named it their camp meeting. So I can't remember what camp stands for. See it, conservative, something. I don't know.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Texas.
And what I would like to encourage those guys, and we know it's like Becky and Franco. A lot. They'll get 80 or so people there, but I'm like, you ought to be broadcasting that, recording that, and getting it out there.
Becky was actually messaging me. She joined, started watching after you introduced yourself. So she's like, who are these people? Are they reporters? What are they? I told her they're coming to come tomorrow. She said, I need more information. Who are they?
Becky is the state EC for Spartanburg County.
You can give her my number.
Oh, she's now excited. After
Yes.
she heard you talk, she's excited.
Unlike the truth that I was telling you, I am accessible.
Oh, God.
I
And
told
we're
her,
accessible too, which is like the craziest thing. These people will not talk. The chair for Spartanburg County before our people took over Spartanburg County this past reorg, I was chair. He's been involved with much longer. I never met with him, never talked to him. I had multiple people try to. No, it's Curtis Smith. Curtis, the guy. One of them. It was Bill Bledsoe who kept trying to set up the meeting. I'm like, Bill, I'll meet anywhere, anything. I mean, he set it up 4 or 5 times. And then every time, Curtis had an excuse. Oh, my wife has a dental appointment. She's got a tooth that's hurting. It got this or got that. I mean, they won't talk to us
And I
because
think the last time he simply didn't show up. Wasn't that the case?
I don't remember. But it's just different.
Yeah.
We will meet. I mean, my theory is we will meet and talk to anybody, anytime, anywhere, whatever conditions you have on the record, off the record, bring whoever you want, it doesn't matter. And then the joke became, oh, well, we don't want to meet and talk to Jeff because he may sue us. So then I had to add to that whole stick, well, and I will sign any legal release you want to. So and they still won't be. So, I mean, the point is, and I literally think there's a political tactic, if you will, or, no straight, but of just not speaking to the person. And if you won't speak to the person, you're not going to have to deal with it, and then they can postpone as long as possible. And I know you guys, mentioned Freedom Caucus earlier. Adam Morgan, who's a mile down the road from us, sits there. That's where he works. He would never be with me. The county chair. The only time he ever came to this Coffee and Politics is when we made a public announcement before Coffee and Politics on Friday, maybe on Wednesday or so. We said Olga and I were going to be out. I think we were chemo treatment or something like that. We weren't going to be here. And Yvonne Julian, who's our chair at the time in our state EC, that Yvonne was not going to be there either. So it kind of was like, Adam and his brother came here and showed up. But what was funny is Olga decided last minute to come, abandoned me in my unhealthy state. My nurse left me, and she came here, and and we recorded it. And one of the questions was given to Alan Morgan, because we have some people in his district that just said, "Why won't you meet with Jeff? It just doesn't make any sense." Olga asked him that question. Of course, they were videoing and everything. And what was Alan's excuse?
That you were suing everyone.
Yeah, sued everybody.
Which was, I think he said.
He said there were hundreds of 100 lawsuits or something.
And he didn't like that. I just told him he was a liar and he couldn't show up.
But I mean, what is the cowardness there? I will meet and talk to anybody. I mean, I got nothing to hide.
1:00 we have event to announce. I put on the screen.
Okay. Oh yes. On Monday. So we've got this Constitution Alive class that starts September 20th. We'll put that out. We're still confirming, I guess, but it's in the mornings on a Saturday, 10 to 11:45, I think. So that's consistent. You sleep in a little bit, and you can be done by the time football starts in the afternoon.
And reaching out to veterans who are not fire season.
Right.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be at Post 3 downtown, American Legion, and anybody can come. It doesn't have to just be veterans. But that'll be kind of the impetus. Bill Frady's going to do with his vets, upstate Warrior Solutions. They're going to, you and Al are going to be on the radio with them, advertising and all that kind of stuff, and even signing people up that day, right?
Yes, we're signing people up there at the youth center.
Yeah, but anybody can come. We've looked at the facility, and I think it'll be nice down there. And what's beautiful is the museum is open from 10 to 4 on Saturdays. So you come to the class and then go check out the museum upstairs. Because it's not going to be there. I mean, it's sad that they're going to have to tear that place down and build another stupid high rise. So, but they're moving to another location off of South Pleasantburg. So, be able to work with them when they do that. So it'll be fun. Nancy Mace is doing a tour of these town halls all over the place. She's doing one here in Greenville at Bimini's at 4:00 on Monday. So there's a link to get tickets. Bimini's is not big, so it'll be kind of in there, maybe 100 people. But I thought it'd be a kind of convenient location and place. And WRD had their event there last year or whatever, so people know it, and the owners of Bimini's are very good conservatives. And if you're not aware, I will be certainly staying after they're done at 5:00 because Monday is half off wings.
They got great salmon. That's the best salmon I've ever had.
Salmon is not half off on Monday.
Oh,
Half
it's
off
so
wings.
good. It's worth every penny.
You're talking to a guy who's a tax.
So we're gonna stay there for that.
Everything you
It's
get
worth
paid.
it.
Comes from South America.
Really
We
good.
want half off
And
wings.
make it a tax write.
And make a tax
Right on water.
If y'all want to just save the date, we're planning on he's got his class on November 15th. It's a Saturday. I think we're going to do a activist training class. It'll be a full day class, but it's activist training. It's a class that I've taken many times, and I think it was really the very first class that kind of woke me up to exactly how corrupt this whole situation is. I was it's a kind of faculty Young Americans for Liberty type class. They offered to come up and teach it for our folks or whatnot. So
Where is it gonna be?
November 15th. We haven't got a location. They've confirmed it. They got the November 15th sounds right. He's got to confirm with his boss who's out this week, but hopefully the next week. So hopefully by the end of next week, we'll officially announce it. But I'm just, it's a great class. And I will tell you, I was one of those naive people that thought, oh, these are legislators that we elected them. They believe in all the Republican principles, and they really want to make a better world, for us. And oh my God, it's really not. This was the very first class, and I don't know, Jonathan Hill, those guys taught it over in Anderson. I just sat there with my jaw wide open the whole time. I'm like, I can't believe how stupid I've been for all these years. So,
Who teaches it now?
well, I think Backle is kind of maybe turned. I mean, I don't know who the actual teacher will be of this, but I think they've moved some of that Backle training into Young Americans for Liberty. So there are some Backle people that now work for YAL. I've got my issues with YAL, and we, hopefully, we can work together. We should talk about some things and all that stuff because, YAL now supports government-run school choice. And that's kind of my question to them because they used to oppose it. So this is what we try to teach people. And that's why even with the Freedom Caucus, I told them about it. I'm like, you're being backed by Young Americans for Liberty and the American Action Fund or whatever that sent out the Texans and all that kind of stuff. Who is funding them? Where's the money coming from? This is literally the definition of dark money. You may think YAL says all the good stuff. I get it. But where's the money coming from? And why are you now pushing government-run school choice over, and you actively opposed it years ago? Why are you now pushing convention of states? And whatever your opinion is on these issues, what makes you change your position? They were against convention of states. Now they're for convention of states. What happened? It's normally somebody's funding it, something like that. Now, I want to sit down with YAL and understand it and have them speak it. I've tried to push the Freedom Caucus people. Why don't you want to push them? You're working with them and they're repping you and all this stuff. Why don't you push them harder to find out what the donors are? I have my suppositions of where the donors are coming from. They're not friends of ours. But somebody ought to have a discussion about it. This is literally the definition of dark money. And what I've told the Freedom Caucus people, and I've challenged several of them on, I'm like, stop partnering with dark money groups. I like their training. I like what they say. I mean, we can talk to them and work with them, but to be controlled financially by them, I don't want to be controlled financially by them. But the Freedom Caucus ought to be partnering instead of with groups like YAL and those guys in the dark money side. They ought to be partnering with the grassroots. To me, that's the America First GOP counties in this state. None of us are making any money, I can assure you.
Well, they need money. They need money. And if the good people aren't giving them the money for whatever reason, they got to get it somewhere. I'm assuming that's why it happens.
But the strings come. Why?
Well, it does. But if that's the only way they can stay alive and survive.
Why does the Freedom Caucus need money?
They have a good product.
Not if they have this.
Buy signs to put on the roads.
I mean, that's just normal small stuff. Why? I mean, to send out all those texts, it's a lot of money. But guess what? We have a system that we can set up that is grassroots that doesn't require a lot of money to send out text and do all that kind of stuff. We are working in precincts. Why do you need strings from some dark money group? And I don't say that in an insulting way. I'm just saying we don't know who donates to them. It's not disclosed. So it's by definition dark money. We think they're on the good dark money side as opposed to the bad dark money side. It's all bad.
There is no good side.
There is no good side.
To answer Carrie's question, the book How to Vote for an Idiot by yours truly out in the lobby. There's a universal principle that I adopted when I was a psychologist, and that is nobody does anything for no reason.
Nobody, Jim DeMint's group, the Conservative Partnership Institute or whatever, up in DC. We're not fans of Jim DeMint. He's a former congressman from here, and we battled on all kinds of stuff.
Former senator.
Former senator as well. Yes, he was 4th district and then went to the Senate. His group in the last 990 got $43 million. Where?
For no reason.
From where? If I gave, and even if it's split among a ton of people, they want something to prove working. They're not getting $10 donations and $20 and $50 donations. They're getting 50 and 100,000 and $500,000. And they're those people that write that check.
Yeah.
Even if you think everything his group does is fantastic, those people want something.
Well,
They
so
really,
it's
really-
easier to pay a firm lots of money to send your text for you than to work with a group like ours. It's a lot more work to work with the grassroots people. Is that?
It is more work. Yes, it's easy to sit there. And what a lot of those guys did, they got elected with the grassroots. Once they got in there, it was easier to stop dealing with us because we are a cumbersome group and take $50,000 worth of door knocking from Young Americans for Liberty. I literally had a Freedom Caucus member tell me that they would rather partner with those guys because they send in a bunch of kids to knock doors and they'll send texts and they'll do mailers and all that stuff than to work with us.
We have
And I'm like, you got to be kidding.
One more event and we have a call.
Oh, we got a call of the. Okay, and what is this?
Zone.
Oh, Zone 7?
Our zone.
Our zone, Zone 7, August 28th. We've got a meeting, and hope it'll be a working meeting. But
Pelham Road Library.
Pelham Road Library, 6 o'clock.
We have 2 speakers.
I think Yvonne's going to speak, right?
Dana Harvell.
And Dana Harvell, the state EC from Anderson, is going to come over and speak. They invited him, so it'll be fun. What else?
That's it. We have a recruitment call. It's in 15
That's it.
minutes.
Oh, and Christmas party, December.
Yeah, we'll get it.
It's whatever the first Monday in December. We're doing a joint with Spartanburg, so it'll be at the Cannon Center. Should be.
We have a young group, don't we? Didn't we have a new committee?
Yes.
For young?
It's not new, but we have a youth outreach chair, Dylan.
Dylan Peters.
There's
So
a,
yes.
there's nationwide, they're saying, Gen Z is coming to the Republican.
Oh no, it's huge. I mean that's yes. Oh yeah. Yes. I think this will be kind of like the Reagan Revolution, and a lot of the people that are involved in politics now came up as youth under Reagan in the early '80s, and I think you're seeing that with youth under the Trump kind of populist movement, however you want to call it. Yeah. Oh yes, and that is just like what we're doing with the vets piece. We're doing the same sort of focus with the youth, and with Dylan and what we want to do there. Yeah. So. But at the same rate, you got the YRs, the Young Republicans, which is an affiliate of the SCGOP, but it's a national organization. I mean, it's Rhinoville over there. It's crazy now, and it's not. We're more TPUSA type people, or our folks are. Those are the kids who want to incorporate. Even the young Republicans. It's a small group because they literally run everybody off. We try to get some people to participate because just like every 2 years, like we go through reorg, the young Republicans go through their own reorg, and they would have elected a new chair for Greenville County. And I reached out to the chair and I said, well, when are y'all having this? Because we want some other people to get involved. He probably knew we wanted to get him on election. He wouldn't tell me when they were having their election. If they had their election, he was miraculously reelected. It was like 3 people.
Whoa.
And guess what? He's running for a House seat right now. He's going to get clobbered. Can't wait. He's running for Bonnie Cox's seat, that Jack Stott guy. But Jack Stott is the same guy that said Olga was violating the law by claiming to be a U.S. citizen when she really wasn't.
So you get the same.
Like, when she got sworn in, got her citizenship last summer, that they, the rhinos are all over there in their social media mocking everybody. Oh, it's a crime to be saying you're an actual citizen if you're not. Oh, look at the words Olga say. She's not actually saying she was sworn in. you know, I'm like, what are you people? Are you insane? You know, like, they are.
Very
I'm like,
strategic.
yes, they are. So, all right. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All right, second.
Second.
Empty it. All right, we are adjourned. So, thank you all for coming. Thanks for the hard work. Thanks for the updates. And we are going to get busier and busier. So it's fantastic.
Showed him my letter.